Instead of thinking restriction or I need to fast longer, I don't want us restricting food in the sense of like, I need to cut my calories. If you ate like a jerk last week, you need to nourish your body. You need nutrition. Your body still needs vitamins, still needs minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. It needs those building blocks to function well. So if you ate like a jerk last week and you didn't give your body enough micronutrition, vitamins, minerals, we need to make up for that this week, right? This is where we say paying our nutrition bills. You didn't pay your bills last week. You ate like a jerk, we got to pay them. Hey there, my name is Allie Virtue. I am the owner of Parkside Nutrition and a functional medicine nutritionist. Welcome to the Pre-Diet Podcast. Today, I want to talk about how your week was last week. Because last week, if you are in the US, it was 4th of July weekend, and a lot of people will argue that the holidays are a really hard time to, quote, eat healthy, be healthy, go on a health journey, etc. I would say summer is pretty difficult as well. I don't really think there's a good season versus a bad season because guess what? This stuff is all year long. You got to live this way. If you want to be healthy, it's not just a 6-week trial or 6 weeks detox. It's not my style, at least. So I want to talk about it because a lot of times, or a lot of the conversations I'm hearing lately is, oh, I overdid it last weekend, or I ate too much, or drank too much, or I was with family, so I couldn't eat healthy. It was out of my control, and I missed all my workouts. The gyms were closed, like, et cetera, et cetera. So first things first, no guilt needed. It's just not helpful. This is one weekend. You're not going to completely undo your progress unless you quit and just like fully slide down that negative spiral. What you do consistently matters way more than the off occasional mess up on weekends. Negative self-talk, not helpful. Logically, it's just like not not useful. I know that's easy to say, harder to do, but the more we acknowledge that, I think the more helpful and the more we can kind of train our brain of like, oh yeah, that's actually not really helpful. I know some clear steps. We're going to talk about some clear steps. If you don't know what to do to get, quote, back on track or get yourself moving in a positive direction, we're going to talk about it because because in case we forgot, we're human. You're human. I'm human. I'll talk about my 4th of July weekend, what I learned from it, what I would do differently, what wins I think I had, etc. This is all part of learning to be a healthier version of yourself and how to bounce back, how to make adjustments so you just feel better. That's the goal. That's what we're focusing on. So first of all, I want to talk about my 4th of July weekend because I too am also a human and I had a great 4th of July weekend. We went to go visit family in Eastern Oregon, my in-laws. They have a really cool place out there and they actually had a full-on family reunion while we were there. So all the family from California, all over came, which was fantastic. They rented an Airbnb. A lot of people, it was kind of potluck style as far as the food. And my husband has some gut issues, so he has you could call it a fairly restrictive, I would say basic diet. So he's gluten-free, dairy-free, doesn't have soy. So the setup at his parents' house is pretty awesome. We have our own little studio kind of apartment attached to his parents' place. So we brought a couple things because it was a 5.5 hour drive-ish. So we brought our lunch and some snacks. And so we had a cooler and we brought some of our breakfast stuff. So I brought my yogurts, which I really love. So that allowed me to have some breakfast options. And I should preface this, his parents are super, super great as far as like eating well, very hospitable, and like, they cook really well, they eat really well themselves. So this was by no means difficult for us to eat well. But I just feel good when I have like a consistent breakfast that I really like. And it's kind of funny because we didn't eat bad at all. We ate pretty close to normal and my guts were still a little bit off. Now, I think that was mostly because we probably weren't as active, which again, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not really worried about 5 days not hitting the gym super hard. But my guts honestly started to slow down a little bit despite having cherries, fruit, like all the normal, regular, great, like high fiber, gut health foods. And because that, or, when I was thinking of that, I was like, it's not really a problem, but I just don't quite feel my best. And I think if I were to solve this quote problem or thing I'm not really loving at the moment, I looked at Jared and I was like, I think we should add some runs in. And we're not usually like runner types, but it's an easy way to just go get some more exercise, enjoy like the cute town that they're in. So we just set an interval clock and I use the Smartwad timer app. I think it's free. And I just set the intervals. So we walked for 5 minutes. Then I set 3 minutes or about 2.5 minutes of running time and 1 minute of rest. And we just did that for 5 to 6 rounds, which worked perfectly. On another day when I didn't quite time things right and my gut was a little too full of breakfast, I got just real crampy and just didn't want to run. So we did lunges, we held a plank, we would do push-ups on a bench. Doing regular push-ups for 3 minutes would be a little tough. So we did push-ups on a bench. What else did we do? We did lunges, we did broad jumps for that work interval. So we got creative, just did that through the park, walked like a normal human for a minute and repeated that. There's also a local track we could have gone by as well. We also played pickleball some days for like an hour or two with some cousins, and that was really fun. But being intentional with that exercise really made me feel better. It made me feel more normal. It just like gave me more energy. I don't know about you, but I got plenty of sleep. I could sleep in. I didn't have any animals to take care of. And I felt really lethargic still. I was really surprised. I was like, I'm getting a lot of sleep. I get to sleep in. But I think my normal daily activities, because I love my job, I like being outside with horses, I think those normal daily activities just kind of keep me more engaged and like focused on things and give me energy that I didn't realize. And so I kept finding myself reaching for caffeine. And I was like, this is vacation. I shouldn't need this much caffeine. But when we started to add more of that exercise in, I felt so much better and just mood wise, it was just great. So, again, not that I was feeling bad, it was a great time, but I just noticed those little tweaks and I'm really proud and happy that I made those little adjustments because why not get the most out of your vacation and feel as good as you possibly can? So, that was really fun. If you follow me on Instagram, Ali.parksidenutrition, ALI, then I shared my plate from 4th of July barbecue potluck situation. And if you follow any of my newsletter stuff and resources as far as like example meal plans, how to make a meal plan, all of those things, I stuck pretty much to the same thing. And you'll notice like without the categories that I kind of showed you what food was, it's a pretty delicious plate. I didn't really hold back. I didn't have anything that, I knew was going to make me feel bad or anything like that. But it's a pretty diverse plate. I chose some protein. I chose some colorful plants, some different types of salads that were there. They had a really good cucumber, artichoke, I already said cucumber, tomato, balsamic one, one with tomatoes and balsamic and mozzarella cheese. There were just so many good options. There was a Thai peanut salad with pasta. There was a pasta salad, so many good things. So I just was conscious of not getting too much of each thing because I wanted to try a lot of different things. And I just kept it to one plate. Tried not to snack too much. It's really easy to kind of overfill yourself. If you want more strategies on how to eat well at a barbecue like this, definitely check out episode 12. We went over, exactly, I kind of take you through exactly how I would coach a client through a social situation like that if you have specific nutrition goals and things like that. So definitely recommend giving that a listen if you haven't already to get a little bit more details as far as how to do that for yourself. But that's not what we're talking about this particular episode. I want to help you reset and start feeling better. I don't even like the word reset, to be honest. I'm still searching for words. Refocus, whatever. Keep going. Because I think this is a really, again, important skill that we need to learn. We're going to mess up. We're going to call them learning opportunities, but we need to get back to acting. I think that's the biggest thing I see with clients is just we're a little bit, I say clients, I'm the same way. I could know an action that I need to take, but I need to practice the muscle of being quicker to respond and take that action. I could, I hear all the time, oh, I just need to get back in the gym. Well, get in the gym. Like, how soon can you go to the gym? I don't care if you have a free, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, but like just get back in there, break the ice, do it. All right, let's get into some practicality points here. So first of all, are you hydrated? This is probably like the number one, especially if you overconsumed on alcohol a little bit, or even maybe you didn't overconsume or you don't think you overconsumed. We are potentially a little dehydrated. I find this a lot on vacation because I try to carry my water bottle around with me, but it might not have it all the time, right? Versus now it's usually sitting on my desk when I'm at home. So just let's try to focus on rehydrating. A great way to do this is really focusing in between meals, making sure you have a water bottle with you. Try to have a big one. I really recommend clients have one that's like 30, 40 ounces, and that allows them to only have to fill it up a couple times. And especially starting off the morning. The morning is when we are the most dehydrated. So really trying to drink a glass of water, half your water bottle, whatever it is, a good chunk of water first thing before we have food. And I say before we have food because I don't really want to add a ton of water on top of a big bowl of food because that will dilute our stomach acid a little bit. And that stomach acid is meant to break down sterilize our food and, break it down for us. So if we're adding a bunch of water to that, we're kind of diluting that power. So big chunk of water before we have our first meal would be great. If you want to add electrolytes or something to it and make it more interesting, by all means go for it. But I don't usually recommend a ton of electrolyte packets or products unless clients are really like sweating a ton outside and like working out a lot and they really need to replenish. I find a lot of times people get plenty of salt from their diet if they're just a general moving human. So if you do exercise a lot, you're sweating a lot, add some more electrolytes to your water if you would like to, but don't overdo them. I feel like people overdo it because they don't like the taste of water. It's water. We got to drink it. Next one on my list, you could probably guess it because I talked about it already, but get moving, go for a walk. My general recommendation for movement is 2 times a day. 2 times a day, I want you intentionally moving your body. And this is not isolated to those who have a fat loss goal. This is a general lifestyle to be a healthy human recommendation. Even if you are the super fittest individual, I think it's really good to move with intention 2 times a day. One, this is for mood, this is for energy levels, this is for circulation. Honestly, some of my gut health clients that have gut issues, they are nowhere near needing to lose weight or anything like that, but they have a sedentary job and we're pumping them full of all this good nutrition and I want them to improve their circulation and move and get some walks in and exercise. Those exercise benefits are still there even outside of a weight loss goal. So let's get that separated. So go for a walk. Make sure you are also, this came up as well, and I don't want to offend anybody at all with this. So please stick with me. When I say 2 times of movement, I want to move with intention 2 times a day. I also try to keep it distinct between activity and exercise. When I exercise, it can be fun. But when I exercise, I think I'm really training. And a lot of people will kind of tune out at that because they're like, well, I'm not an athlete. I don't need to train for anything. We should all be training for life. We should all be exercising. And when I say exercising, I exercise to be a little bit better or to make my normal, fun life activities easier. So take me and my husband, for example. We generally work out like, 4 to 6 times a week, depending on the week. So with that kind of frequency, we lift, we walk a lot, I ride horses. Going for a short hike is not necessarily exercise for us. It's fun. Sometimes hiking is super, super hard. But going for a general, hike might not be, depending on the hike. Nobody get offended, depending on the hike. It might not necessarily be exercise. And I don't say that to be, like shaming anyone they're not fit enough. That is not my goal. My goal is that if I want to do that stuff on a regular basis, I need to exercise. So that is like hopefully well within my capabilities. So that's where I look at exercise of like, I'm pushing hard in my exercise sessions. So the rest of the life activity stuff is easy. So I want both in there, all that to say. So gardening is great, walking is great, and walking, for right now, depending on our fitness level, can absolutely be our exercise. But I think it's more of the mindset and the intention when we're exercising is that I want this to be a session that brings the needle up, that makes me fitter and more fit versus just moving around. I hope that makes sense. I don't want workouts by any means to be punishing, but I do want us to have that mindset of like, I need to work hard. I need to, pump my arms and get my pace up and work hard. So this makes my normal life activities much easier. And I'm definitely not promoting more exercise this week in the sense of you need to burn off what you ate last week. That is so not my MO, in case you're wondering. I want blood flow. I want digestion moving. I want your mood to improve. I want you to get back in the habit of going to the gym and adding your activity in all the time. We just need that as humans. So get moving, put it on your calendar, make sure it happens, rip off the Band-Aid, let's get going. Next point is simplifying our food choices. Instead of thinking restriction or I need to fast longer, if your gut is like not feeling good and fasting feels good, I'll put that in a different category. I don't want us restricting food in the sense of like I need to cut my calories. If you ate like a jerk last week, you need to nourish your body. You need nutrition. Your body still needs vitamins, still needs minerals, proteins, fats, carbohydrates. It needs those building blocks to function well. So if you ate like a jerk last week and you didn't give your body enough micronutrition, vitamins, minerals, we need to make up for that this week, right? This is where we say paying our nutrition bills. You didn't pay your bills last week. You ate like a jerk. We got to pay them this week. We need lots of nutritious, nourishing food going back in. So I want people to prioritize simple proteins, maybe the leaner sort. And I say leaner sort because obviously those are going to be a little lower calorie. They're also going to feel a little less heavy. Protein, fat, and fiber stick in our stomach a little bit longer. So if you're feeling a little heavy, I don't want that for you. So let's choose some of the leaner protein options. This could be things like shrimp, egg whites, turkey, chicken breast, things like that. Leaner steak options. So we're focusing on proteins, lots of veggies, lots of different color vegetables, some fiber at most meals. We don't need to make it crazy, extreme, nothing like that. Just keep it very simple. My own personal formula, I'm looking for something that gives me 30 to 40 grams of protein, at least 200 grams of non-starchy vegetables. That's by weight, by the way, 200 grams, which is about 2 cups, more preferably. And then some starchy carbohydrates for a little bit of balance. Call that like a half a cup of rice, beans, whichever. And then some healthy fats for satiety and to add some flavor. Salad dressing is fine. Using whatever fat source you're using, usually that portion size, whatever it says in grams on the label, is usually a pretty good portion size. Start there. That simple formula. Protein, non-starchy vegetables, a little bit of starch, healthy fats. 4 simple things to get you going. And I would just focus on the meals to start with. I wouldn't worry about having the perfect snacks. If anything, I like to have snacks that aren't super tasty on hand because then I don't have them at the point where I'm approximately 1% hungry. Then I'll just reach for them. If they're too delicious of a snack, I'm just going to reach for it. Versus if it's like, I guess if I'm hungry, I'll have an apple, right? Hopefully that difference comes across. Next up is digestion. Like I already said, my gut was a little bit unhappy. I actually joked with Jared as soon as I got home. I was like, man, my colon's home. Happy to be home. But it was. I had way better bowel movements once I got home. I don't know what it was. Again, my food wasn't drastically different, but there you go. But we all know that digestion can easily be upset by a little bit of travel. So when I'm focusing on getting my digestion back on track, obviously I'm eating like the meals I just described. I'm also trying to breathe really deeply. I also make it a priority to do a little abdominal massage, mostly almost every night, really. It just feels good. But that helps the muscles in our gut to just contract and keep things moving. It's also really good for like moving gas physically through your guts if you're feeling a little bit bloated, or maybe you haven't eaten a vegetable in a couple weeks and then you have vegetables and then you feel bloated from that. That is a real thing as well. Even if we are adapting to getting back on a healthier eating plan, bloat sometimes comes with that. Gas sometimes comes with eating more vegetables. So that is still helpful doing that abdominal massage. Some of the things that I might include would be apple cider vinegar or digestive enzymes to help me break down my food a little bit better. You can also try some warm fluids like ginger tea. Ginger is a good kind of stimulant to get our motility in our guts going. Peppermint tea, bone broth, something like that. Something that's really easy and soothing kind of on the guts. I already mentioned this, but going for short walks after a meal can really help support your blood sugar, which is going to give you good energy throughout the day, not those rises and crashes, but also digestion. It's gentle movement that helps our guts kind of keep moving. Also, I think it helps us not eat so much because if I'm going for a walk after my meal, I don't want to waddle around the block and feel like I'm too full. So even going for a 10-minute walk can be super helpful. Next is reset your sleep routine. I'm not great at this, I'll be honest, but I learned some really good tricks. One is setting a bedtime timer on my phone where it reminds me 30 minutes till bedtime. Okay, I need to start winding down, doing my last little bits of chores, and moving towards bed. I'm also not great at this, I'll be honest, putting my screens away, putting my phone away in another room, charging it in another room or whatever. All of that, cut down screen time, try to read a book, etc., is also really helpful. This also helps regulate our appetite. If we're getting enough sleep, it's usually way easier to stick to good dietary choices as well. Next is resetting your environment. So a couple things I think can help here. One, decluttering the fridge, pantry. Make sure you have groceries, order groceries if you need to. Sleep routine, put a book by your bed. I already said put a bedtime timer on. Make sure you do your laundry, have clean gym clothes. Try to set the environment where it puts you in a good, clean, happy space where you want to do those things. I think a lot of times if our environment isn't messy and all we do is look around and see all the things that we need to do, it's hard to get back to those, call them self-care habits, right? Going to the gym, walking, eating well, etc. And we see all of these other things that we need to be doing. Lastly, for resetting our environment, I would say journaling and asking yourself some questions of like, what would a successful week look like? What do I need to do to really feel my best? And don't write down 50 things, just write down a couple. And then I would take that journal kind of brainstorming session and apply it to my calendar and make sure it's realistic, make sure I have the time to do it, and get really specific with how or when you're going to be doing that as well. So if you say, like, I would feel really successful with going to the gym 3 times, awesome. What time are we going to the gym? Did you build in travel time? Did you have enough buffer in your day to make that happen? Do you have your gym clothes in your car if you need that, etc.? Think of the details so it is just truly seamless when it comes time to execute that goal so we can feel successful about it. All right, last thing on my list is a little bit of the mental reset because let's be honest, most of it is mental, not necessarily physical. So remind yourself that you are not starting over. This is a continual thing. This is a lifelong deal. We need to exercise. We need to take good care of ourselves. Like, that's it. I would also remember, even if you feel like you keep messing up, you have more skills and you have more experience than you did before. So if you say that I've been failing at dieting for, the last couple of years or whatever, like hopefully you've taken notes and you've gotten smarter as you go of like what works, what doesn't work. You know yourself and you know how to kind of change your behavior, hopefully. If you don't, work with a coach and they'll definitely help you out. But take that as a note of confidence of you have more skills, you have more experience, you know what doesn't work and what might have a chance of working this time. There we can make adjustments, we can make notes for the future and have a more successful go at it. Someone asked me this week, how do I stay motivated to do these hard things when I'm not seeing progress or big changes? Well, to be honest, this stuff is kind of like taking out the trash. It's not necessarily glamorous. You just have to do it to be a healthier or healthy human. We need exercise. It's as simple as that, regardless of if it helps us lose weight or not. My body needs to lift weights. It needs to have more muscle on it. It is so much easier to lift weights at my age now than waiting to try to get strong in 20 years, 10 years, 1 year. Like, time is our best asset. So I want to work hard now to lift weights, to be as strong as possible. I also know my body needs to walk, even if I look like a very fit individual. Regardless of looks, my body feels better, my digestion feels better, my mood feels better when I go for walks. I also get a lot of quality memories and family time from going on walks with family. And honestly, my dog loves it, so I'm not going to skip it. My body also needs nutrient-rich foods, plain and simple. It needs fuel to function well. So I can get the most out of life, feel my best. I want to perform, and I'm not an elite athlete. I do consider myself an athlete to this day. I think that's another thing that we can switch in our head if you've identified as an athlete in the past, maybe in high school or college. And we kind of flick that switch off of like, oh, I'm not an athlete anymore. I used to be. Why not? We don't have to be going to the Olympics to classify ourselves as an athlete. I don't need to be an elite athlete to know that I want to perform and I want to feel good. I own my own business. I have family that relies on me. I need to show up for them. And more than that, I want to do my best. Plus, if I'm honest, the more you do this stuff, the easier it gets to keep going. You get in a rhythm with it, it becomes routine, and you just kind of flow from there. But even if you view this stuff as hard, you can change that in an instant. You can decide to not make it hard. Going to the gym just requires you to walk in the door. Going to the gym and exercising doesn't require you to have the best workout of your life. It's literally walking in the doors and doing something and then walking out and then doing it again. That's all we're asking. And as far as eating better, that might simply be choosing not to have straight junk food at your next meal. It doesn't have to be earth-shatteringly different. It just has to be a little bit better. Make it a simple action that you have to say yes to. And lastly, for this point, it's not hard if you've gone through something that was actually hard. And if you stay connected to why you are doing something that you think is hard, this stuff isn't hard. Losing a parent is hard. Losing a family member is hard. Losing a limb to type 2 diabetes. Losing quality of life to another chronic disease, that's hard. At that point, you have less options available to you, less things that you can control. But today you can control, you can decide what your next meal is. Right now, you can decide when your next workout is. You can decide to go out for a walk today. Maybe it's hot outside. Maybe it's raining where you are. What's the worst that can happen? You got to take a water bottle with you. You'll get sweaty. You get wet from the rain. That's okay. We can get over that stuff. We can plan around it. We can take a shower afterwards, but it's still an option, which I hope you see as motivating because you still have that as an option to solve those problems way before they're big problems. So this is not meant to be a rant. This is me just wanting you to avoid the real hard stuff and to choose to do the small but doable steps now, like taking good care of yourself before those, quote, small healthy habits are no longer an option to really solve those big chronic disease issues. If we stay inactive, if we stay immobile, if we stay sedentary for too long, then it will be very, very hard to get moving again in the right direction. So relish in those small steps, going for walks, choosing slightly better food, stopping before you're full, going to bed on time. And honestly, like getting kind of a high off the fact that you're choosing to do something for yourself that's going to give you a positive result and focusing on that positive result of like, I did that. That's the positive result. I did that. And kind of getting a buzz off of that. I love the fact that I'll do things that other people won't consider. Like, oh gosh, you're intense. Like you want to play pickleball with the cousins. Like, cool. Let's play. Let's play. Like it's fun, right? I don't see that as a negative. I want to be able to keep doing that stuff. I love it. This is all to keep you going and to keep you doing the stuff that you really love to do in this life. Lastly, you can also gamify this. We do this in the Habit Kickstarter program. That's the group program. We keep track of those habits, customize everybody's set habits to them, but everybody competes. So they are looking to get the most amount of healthy habit points every month. And the person that wins actually gets $35 towards their next grocery bill. So that is a fun little fun fact about the Habit Kickstarter, the group program that I offer. So if you're curious about that, let me know. But if you're on the email list and you can subscribe at parksidenutrition.com/subscribe, you can get instant access to the Free Shit Friday library. So a bunch of resources in there, plus new stuff every single Friday. But one of those resources is a habit tracker, and there's videos in the library of how to set your habit tracker. So you can totally gamify this healthy habits for yourself as well. A few closing reminders, no shame, just strategy, get to it. Your body is resilient. You are capable of wonderful, amazing things. And I hope that you get to work this week so you feel better. That's what I want the most for you. If you have any questions or if I can help at all with your health journey, please feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I'll see you on the next one.